Have you ever stopped and wondered why there are always those huge lines outside Apple stores? Why people seem so happy, even eager, to pay premium prices? I mean, sometimes the tech isn't even that revolutionary anymore, right?
Yeah.
But there's this pull. What is that secret?
It's fascinating, isn't it? That almost magnetic appeal they have, turning tech into something desirable.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into Apple's marketing genius. We're going to unpack the strategies that built this powerhouse brand. And the idea here is that this is a case study for your business, whether you're B2B, B2C, e-commerce, whatever.
Yeah, the goal is to pull out real, actionable insights. Look at the psychology, the campaigns, the whole ecosystem thing they do.
So you can take these lessons and, well, start using them in your own marketing, maybe even today.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Let's start right at the foundation. Apple's success, it's not just cool gadgets. It's built on a really clear why. But what is that why beyond the products?
That's the key, I think. Their core values aren't just posters on a wall. They live and breathe them. First up, there's this relentless drive for innovation. They position themselves as pioneers, almost like they know what users need before we even do.
Right, anticipating needs. But it's not just about being cutting edge, is it? There's also this obsession with making things simple.
Absolutely. That's the second value, simplicity and intuitivity, making the user experience frictionless. You see it in the clean designs, the minimal interfaces, the language they use. It makes really complex tech feel, well, easy.
Effortless almost.
Yeah, removing that mental effort for the user.
And that ties right into the third pillar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The aesthetic and design.
Definitely. It's this belief that beauty and function are, like, inseparable. These aren't just tools, they're status symbols, things people feel proud to own, aspirational objects.
That makes sense.
And you see how perfectly this all came together in that iconic Think Different campaign?
Oh yeah, legendary.
That wasn't just selling computers. It was Apple saying, we're about creativity, rebellion, challenging things. It made them feel like a movement.
Okay, so this clear purpose, this why, lets them connect with some really specific groups, but those groups seem quite diverse. How do they manage that segmentation?
They have a very precise understanding of who they're talking to. You've got the obvious ones, the technophiles, the early adopters. You know, the people queuing up, watching the keynotes like they're rock concerts.
Guilty as charged sometimes. Then you have the creative professionals, designers, musicians, filmmakers. Macs are basically industry standard for them, indispensable.
True, the creative world pretty much runs on Apple.
Think about students and teachers. Apple targets them specifically with simplicity, reliability, and things like the education store discounts.
Smart move.
And of course, the affluent consumers. People looking for that luxury, feel the exclusivity, the status the brand brings.
Right. But maybe the most interesting group is that massive, loyal fan community, the super fans. They're emotionally invested. They buy everything, and they tell everyone else to buy it too. It's like supporter syndrome, but for a tech brand.
It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So understanding their why and who they're for lets them build this massive loyalty, turning customers into real advocates.
Exactly.
Okay, so they've got this strong identity. Now, how do they actually use their products and pricing to create that intense desire? What's the magic there?
A big part of it is the ecosystem integrated approach. Your iPhone, your Mac, your watch, your AirPods, they are designed from the ground up to work together seamlessly.
Yeah, that interconnectivity.
Right. And that creates this powerful lock-in effect. It's not just that the products work well together. It actually makes switching to a competitor feel inconvenient, maybe even a step backwards in user experience.
Like starting an email on my phone and finishing it on my laptop without thinking, or airdropping files instantly.
Precisely. iCloud is the perfect example. That instant sync across devices, it feels almost magical. It just works. And that consistency builds huge loyalty.
Okay, so the ecosystem pulls you in.
Yeah.
But what about the price tags? They're not exactly cheap. How do they handle pricing?
Pricing. They are masters of psychological pricing. It's not just one trick, it's a whole playbook.
Okay, break it down for us.
Well, first, there's premium and skimming pricing. When a new product launches, like an iPhone Pro, they set a high initial price. They're skimming the cream off the top, those early adopters willing to pay anything to be first.
Right, the diehards.
Exactly. Then later, they might introduce something like the iPhone SE, a more affordable option. It broadens the market without cheapening the main launch.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Then there's the one everyone notices, psychological pricing or charm pricing. You know, prices ending in 99, like $999 instead of $1,000.
Yeah, why do they do that? Does it actually work?
It does. The theory is our brains anchor on the first digit, so $999 feels significantly cheaper than $1,000, even though it's just a dollar. But the real genius isn't just using what 99, it's how Apple uses it consistently across its whole premium range. It conditions us. Studies show it can really boost sales.
So it makes even expensive things feel slightly more accessible. Clever.
Very. And then there's price anchoring. Remember Steve Jobs launching the first iPad?
Vaguely.
What did he do?
He got on stage and first suggested it might cost $999, building up the expectation of a high price for this revolutionary thing. Then, boom, he revealed the actual price, $499.
Ah, so compared to the $999 anchor, $499 suddenly seemed like an amazing deal.
Exactly. That anchor shifts your perception of value, makes the real price feel cheap.
Wow. Okay, any other tricks?
One more big one, multiple options, often using 3 tiers. There's a famous experiment with the Economist magazine subscriptions. They offered web only for $59 demand, print only for $125, and print plus web also $125.
Wait, print only and print plus web were the same price? Why? Because the print only option, even though almost nobody shows it, acted as a decoy or an anchor. With it there, 84% chose the most expensive $125 print plus web option. But when they removed that seemingly useless middle option, suddenly 68% chose the cheapest $59 web-only deal.
Whoa. So the middle option, even if unattractive, pushes people towards the higher-priced one.
Precisely. It creates a compromise effect, or makes the top tier look like obviously better value compared to the middle one. Apple often uses tiers like this for storage options or different models. It subtly guides your choice. You see it everywhere once you look: software, services, e-commerce bundles.
Okay, this is fascinating. Let's shift gears a bit. Communication. How does Apple create such huge brand recognition and impact when they don't seem to advertise in the same way other big companies do? You don't see constant shouty Apple ads everywhere.
Yeah, it feels different, doesn't it? A lot of it comes down to their communication style. Minimalism and visual impact are huge. Their ads are often incredibly simple, visually stunning, with very few words. Think about those iPhone ads that are just like 10 words long.
Right, they cut through the noise.
Exactly. In this age of infobesity, where we're drowning in information, that minimalist approach grabs your attention immediately.
And they never just list technical specs, do they? It's always about what you can do.
Never just specs. They are absolute masters of selling benefits, not features. The classic example is the first iPod. Not 1 GB of storage, but 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Instantly understandable.
Huh?
Relatable.
Yes. They consistently frame technology in terms of how it improves your life, the tangible benefits you get.
You know, a great recent example of this has to be the dynamic island on the iPhone 14 Pro.
Oh, total masterclass in marketing.
Right. They took what was essentially a design compromise, that screen notch or cutout, and spun it into this must-have revolutionary feature.
They really did. And how? By focusing entirely on the user benefits. How it helps you multitask, see alerts, control music, all without leaving your main app. It felt interactive and useful.
And that clever marketing basically justified a price bump, even if other hardware, like maybe the camera, wasn't a massive leap forward that year.
Exactly. They sold the experience of the feature, turning a potential negative into a perceived positive. It's brilliant.
So building on that idea of selling the experience, how do they create such a deep emotional connection? Feels like more than just smart ads.
It absolutely is. It comes back to storytelling and understanding that why. Remember Simon Sinek's golden circle?
Start with why, yeah.
Right. Most companies start with what they do. We make great computers. Apple starts with why. In everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. That message speaks directly to the emotional part of our brain, the limbic system. It builds loyalty beyond just features and specs. It makes people want to be part of that why.
And that leads to buying multiple Apple products, right? Becoming part of the tribe.
Definitely. They're also incredible at emotional storytelling and using analogies. They create these little micro stories or scenarios. Like for the wireless charger, they don't just talk tech specs. They help you picture yourself easily charging your phone in hotels, cafes, airports all over the world. It creates an immersive picture. And analogies, too.
Yeah, simplifying complex tech. Calling portrait mode studio-worthy or the iPhone X screen endless. It makes the technology instantly graspable and desirable, even if you don't know the technical details.
So they avoid the jargon. They talk like normal people, not engineers.
Exactly. They were speaking the customer's language. They understand their audience isn't full of tech experts. They use simple, strong, benefit-focused words. Talking about security with Face ID addresses a common fear. Pitching the iPad Pro by saying it'll make you forget your computer speaks to a desire for simplicity and power.
Makes sense. Now, what about getting their products seen?
Strategic product placement. It's pervasive but subtle. You see iPhones and MacBooks constantly in movies and TV shows, athletes wearing AirPods or Beats headphones like during the World Cup.
Yeah, you notice it everywhere once you start looking.
Right. It creates this feeling that Apple products are just part of modern life, part of culture, desirable. And it does this without feeling like a pushy ad. The product itself becomes the promotion, which leads perfectly into community and loyalty. It's clearly not just about that first purchase for Apple. How do they keep people engaged and build that powerful community?
They are masters of anticipation and buzz marketing. Those annual keynotes, the controlled leaks and rumors beforehand, it's all designed to build global hype.
Creates that feeling of exclusivity, like you're waiting for the next big thing.
Precisely. And this generates massive, often free, worldwide media coverage. They don't need to buy as much traditional ad space when the whole world is talking about their next launch anyway.
And they're really good at getting users involved, too.
Incredibly good. Think about user-generated content, UGC. The Shot on iPhone campaign is genius. They showcase stunning photos and videos taken by real users.
Yeah, it's authentic proof of the product's quality.
Exactly. And it turns users into brand ambassadors. They also do impactful celebrity collaborations, like working with K-pop stars to show off video stabilization, or an Instagram post from someone like Olivia Rodrigo getting almost 1 million likes. It feels organic, influential.
Okay, what about their actual social media presence, it seems? Different. Almost quiet for such a huge company sometimes.
It is different, almost regal. Their main brand accounts on places like Facebook or Twitter aren't always hyperactive with posts. But look closer.
Where's the action then?
Product-specific pages like Apple TV on Facebook have huge followings, like 28 million. And critically, their Apple support channels, especially on Twitter, are super active and responsive. Replying to users seems to be their main engagement tactic there.
So they focus support where people need it.
Right, and they still get insane engagement when they do post, like over 4 million interactions from just 26 Instagram posts in 3 months recently, and their YouTube videos. Hundreds of millions of views. One batch of 23 videos got over 206 million views.
Wow. Okay, so putting it all together, what's the broader impact? And are there any cracks appearing in this strategy?
Well, a couple more things add to the brand aura. They're vocal about social responsibility, data privacy, environmental efforts. That resonates well these days. And of course, the unwavering branding consistency. That clean logo, the minimalist packaging. It's instantly recognizable everywhere.
Right. But you mentioned challenges.
Yeah, so about this idea of the marketing without advertising, while they do advertise strategically, a lot of their power comes from making marketing not feel like ads, more like culture, community, storytelling. But this faces hurdles.
Like what?
Like the App Tracking Transparency, ATT, framework. Apple positions it as pro-privacy, requiring users to opt in to tracking, which sounds great.
Bless.
But competitors like Meta and TikTok and regulators in places like France and Germany argue it's anti-competitive. They say Apple's own ad network gets an unfair advantage because it doesn't face the same restrictions, while third-party ad performance has reportedly tanked since ATT came in. Meta advertisers, for example, apparently saw orders drop significantly.
So Apple's pushing privacy, but it might also be consolidating its own power in the ad space.
That's the accusation. It shows the fine line they walk. They have immense power, but it also brings intense scrutiny.
Okay, this has been a fantastic breakdown. Let's bring it home for everyone listening. If you're a marketing pro, an entrepreneur, what are the immediate takeaways?
Yeah.
What can you actually apply from Apple's playbook to your business, whether it's B2B, B2C, e-commerce?
Okay, first big one. Simplify everything. Your products, your services, your website, think clear navigation, lots of white space, your communication. Make it intuitive, easy to understand.
Less is more.
Exactly. Second, lead with benefits and your why. Stop just listing features. Talk about what your product does for the customer. How does it solve their problem or improve their life? And dig deeper, what's your company's core purpose, your mission? Communicate that.
Connect on a deeper level.
Yes. And third, craft compelling stories. Use analogies people can grasp. Tell real-life stories. Paint a picture of the future state your customer desires. Make your offering relatable and memorable.
Those are great starting points. What else? More strategic things.
Absolutely. You have to know your customer intimately, speak their language, understand their hidden desires, their pain points, maybe even their fears, and address them proactively.
Really get inside their heads.
Yes. Also, learn to build anticipation and exclusivity. Tease new things strategically. Use urgency or scarcity sometimes, like limited time offers, maybe using the rule of 100 for discounts, or be go-go deals to create buzz and drive action.
Create that want it now feeling.
Right. And cultivate your community. Encourage user-generated content. Engage directly, especially with customer support questions. Show your brand's values. Maybe explore strategic partnerships for organic product placement, like Apple does.
Makes sense. What about pricing?
Definitely leverage psychological pricing. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try charm pricing, ending in
Hmm.
0.99. Use anchoring. Maybe show a regular price crossed out next to the sale price. Consider offering multiple options, remembering that three-tier strategy and the compromise effect to nudge people towards better value, higher margin choices.
Test and learn what works for your audience.
Exactly. And finally, crucially, ensure omni-channel consistency. Whether someone finds you on Google, sees an ad on Meta or LinkedIn or TikTok, visits your website, or walks into a physical store. The brand experience needs to feel seamless. Consistent values, consistent messaging, consistent look and feel across all touchpoints.
That's a really comprehensive set of takeaways. This deep dive into Apple's marketing has been incredible. You can really see how all the pieces fit together, the core why, the psychology, the community building, the experiences. It explains so much about their dominance.
It really does, and it leaves us with a big question, I think. Apple isn't just selling tech, are they? They're selling aspiration, a simpler, maybe cooler version of ourselves.
So the question for you listening is,
Yeah.
how can your brand tap into those deeper human desires? How can you transform what might seem like an ordinary product or service into an extraordinary experience for your customers?